Hello again guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a scenario in which Russia invades all of Europe. So I know in real life this is never possible. Belarus would join the red team, same thing with Serbia. But this is a fictional scenario just to see what would happen if this happened for some reason. And this is going to be going off of logistics, off of manpower, off of equipment, off of how technologically advanced it is, off of troop morale, stuff like that. So pick your side. Honestly, I already have the winner. I'm pretty sure we all know who it's going to be, but it's still going to be a pretty interesting war to play out. So of course this is a surprise invasion by Russia to give them the advantage in that sense. So they begin to push into Ukraine, taking a good portion of the... Oh my god, why is it glitching out? There we go. Of Donbass and Luhansk, basically the areas that are already wanting to join them. They also already control Crimea, and they control South Ossetia and Abkhazia. I think that's how you say it. Probably not, but that's just as good as I can say it, so yeah, we're gonna have to go with that. They continue their invasion of Ukraine. This is a different scenario, so I'm gonna be trying to buff Russia a bit because otherwise they don't stand a chance against the continent. But still, the winner is decided by the things I listed earlier. Meanwhile, Russia begins to push into Belarus heavily, as the country would never fight Russia, and they are just... This is other European militias defending them. Pretty much just Poland defending Belarus right now. And that's not enough against the full might of the Russian army. With that, they connect up with Kaliningrad, capture a majority of Belarus, and begin to push into the Baltics. If you're wondering how they're doing this, where are European troops? Germany is about there, France is about there, the UK is going into the Nordics, about there, Italy and Spain are about there. So yeah, it's just that the larger European nations, the Western ones, haven't sent their militaries over yet. And I know how unrealistic this is. We have countries like Switzerland in this war, which would never happen, but this entire scenario is fictional, so yeah, We see Russia continue their invasion of the Baltics, capturing Tallinn and forcing Estonia to surrender. They capture the entire region and begin to push into Poland, as it is a pretty large and important European nation. If they could capitulate it, they could probably get a peace treaty in which they gain a lot of land. They also continue to push into Ukraine, taking about not half of the country, but a good portion of it. With that, the blue team begins their push into Russia from Finland into the Kola Peninsula. If you didn't know, there's only one road connecting them, so the region is easily captured. They then continue their push into northern Russia until Russian troops arrive and stop them. Now, another thing I should mention, if you hadn't noticed by now, is that no other countries can get involved. Otherwise, the USA would be on the blue team, along with like Japan. China would be on the red team. No allies allowed. This is just the blue team versus the red team. As I was saying that, Russia's beginning to push into Georgia and Turkey, as about half of Georgia is in Europe, and a small bit of Turkey is in Europe. So I counted them. They have portions in Europe, maybe not the whole country, but I'd still consider them European. With that, Russia begins to push down into southern Ukraine, touching the border with Moldova, as they need to capitulate it as soon as possible, with Western European armies beginning to arrive. With German help, the Poles begin to push back, reaching the border of Kaliningrad and Poland. All Russian troops are kicked out of Poland. With that, they begin to push up into Lithuania and even begin a small advance into Kaliningrad. We also see a lot of Balkan troops begin to arrive in Ukraine, helping them push back the Russians on all fronts. With that, the Russians are finally starting to lose some land, as the blue team cuts off Kaliningrad and the area falls. With that, they push into the Baltics, set up all the governments of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, and begin a push into northern Belarus. We also see the blue team pushing back in Ukraine, taking back a majority of the country until all of southern Ukraine is captured. Well, it's encircled and then captured, and all Russian troops are told to retreat out of Ukraine, with their only progress being made into Belarus and Georgia. That won't happen for long, though, as we see Greek and Bulgarian troops arriving with Turkish. Also, Cyprus should be colored in blue. But yeah, there's a sentence you wouldn't normally say, Greece and Turkey working together to push back the Russians, but it's happening. Eventually, Georgia is recaptured, and we now see Russia being up. Nope, Belarus is, well, out of most blue team countries. Eventually, our militaries begin to arrive from the UK, France, and Spain, and that's enough to push Russia out of Belarus and begin a much larger campaign into the country. So there we go. After probably about 2 years of fighting, all Russian troops have been kicked out of blue team areas, regions, and Russia is fully on the defensive here. With that, they begin a spearhead towards Moscow, but it doesn't get very far as they're defending their capital very well. It's a long way away, but it's a start. They then take St. Petersburg in a battle leading to probably 200,000 deaths, one of the worst in history. But Russia does not want to lose all this land. With this, technically both sides are seeing heavy casualties, but Russia's are much worse, as they're just starting to conscript more and more people. They aren't just going off of military or able-bodied people. They're just looking at any man, even woman, and just telling them, you have to fight right now, go fight. With that, Russia is cut off from the Black Sea, and now their only access is in Yakutsk in eastern Russia, which is not good for their economy. Ukrainian and some other Eastern European troops cut off southern Russia, encircle the region, and basically just capture all the troops. Then see the blue team continue their push for Moscow, getting insanely close to the city, and making multiple encirclements with large portions of their army. With this, Nordic and UK troops start to push back and capture a good portion of northern Russia, but it's insignificant compared to this, probably one of the final battles, the Battle of Moscow, ending in a blue team victory. And with that, they can just start pushing into Russia however they please. They capture a lot of the valuable land, and once again, this is now just a push to the Urals, which is about where the Russian economy stops, and it's all just natural. With that, this is months, by the way. There's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But eventually, after all this happens, they realize they can't win, and Russia surrenders. Also, full-out surrender. This wasn't a peace treaty. This wasn't an armistice. This was just Russia full-on collapsing. With that, let's go ahead and draw in the peace treaty, with Georgia creating kind of a... they aren't the largest nation, but they definitely have something going for them down here in the south. We then see Ukraine being given back all of their territory that Russia might have held in the past, and given a good portion of land, a lot of Black Sea access, horrible for Russia, and a good portion of just, plain out land. Belarus is given a small bit of land, but in the end, they didn't do much to deserve it, so they don't get a lot. Estonia and Latvia are, their borders are just expanded eastward a bit. Nothing insane. Norway gets the smallest bit of most useful land imaginable, and Finland becomes Greater Finland. Is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. With only Russia losing land, that's about it. Also, Finnish borders. I love it when Finland defeats Russia because they get such nice borders, taking over the northern Kola Peninsula. I mean, they take much more than that, all of northern Russia. Once again, Norway gets this tiny insignificant piece of land for tens of thousands of Norwegians that died. So definitely worth it, Norway. Good job. Estonia. Yeah, Estonia and Latvia. They didn't really do anything special. They just expanded their borders eastward a bit. No real regard for anything. Belarus got land across the Ukrainian border. And Ukraine is probably the biggest winner here, as they are the ones who suffered the most at the hands of the Russians. We also see Russia being split up, with southern Russia being given independence, and Siberia being given independence. Well, Russia's split into two, Russia and Siberia. So yeah, Russia is now not the largest country, not by a lot. And they have definitely suffered here. Not even in top 10 military anymore. They used to be second, now maybe top 30, top 40 at best. They are weak. Let's just go ahead and make everything white now. And I can show you the final borders of this war. With that, here we are. We see, once again, Ukraine getting a lot of land, Finland getting a lot, and a few new countries being made. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Our victor was Europe, and I'll see you all next video. Bye.